I moved them myself.
That's always nice.
Where's that?
Properly placed.
That's I'm trying. I'll try not to ramble on too long.
I get tired of doing service.
I'll limit my comments. I'll limit my comments to 10 minutes per item. How about that?
How come they don't build an awning up there to protect those vehicles?
Per agenda item, so it's at least 80 minutes per item.
So
We should be.
It's like I've got down there that I pull on underneath. Like a well, yeah, but I mean, it's like a nice one. It protects all the equipment.
Well, they wouldn't do it now before the new facility, obviously.
Oh no.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the April 14th, 2003 meeting of the Haltom City Council. I'll ask you to stand at this time for the invocation, and Councilmember Dewey Markham is responsible for that, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a privilege tonight for me to introduce my pastor, Pastor Reverend Dan Williams, pastor of Grace Baptist Church. Preacher, if you lead us in a word of prayer. Then I will give the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, we come to you tonight. We thank you for the privilege that we have of being a part of these proceedings tonight. Father, we thank you for our country. We thank you for America, where we are free, Father, to participate in our government on the city level, the state level, and even the national level. And Father, we don't take that for granted. Many countries do not have that privilege. And so we're very thankful for America and our freedom. We pray for these proceedings tonight. We pray for these men and ladies that make decisions that affect all of our lives. And Father, we pray for our armed forces as they're still in harm's way in many parts of the world. And Father, we'll just be careful to give you all of the praise and the honor and the glory. We ask all of this in the precious name of Christ and for his sake. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we proceed with the council meeting tonight, I want to remind everyone that if you desire to speak on either in the Visitor Citizens Forum or on one of the agenda items, you will need to fill out one of these yellow speaker request forms, and if you will, be sure to get that in ASAP. It is our privilege at this time to make two proclamations. The first to the SAVE program and the Northeast Tarrant County Alliance for Children. And I believe Ms. Heather Robinson is here tonight. Ms. Robinson, will you please join me at the podium? First of all, are you Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Would you like to introduce the two people who are with you?
This is a Harston intern, Heather Kerr. My name is Dorothy Tilly. I'm with the Alliance for Children.
Okay. And would y'all like to come over here? Mayor, could we get some sound up?
Turn your mic on.
Okay. I think we probably want you ladies to introduce yourself again into the mic where all of us can hear. So if you would.
My name is Heather Robinson. I'm with the SAVE program.
And I'm Heather Herr, and I'm an intern at the SAVE program.
My name is Dorothy Tilly, and I work for Alliance for Children.
Well, ladies, we thank you for being here tonight. And from the office of the mayor, speaking on behalf of the council, it's my privilege to make this presentation. And if one of you will come up here, I'll read this to you. Whereas more than 3,899 cases of child abuse and neglect were confirmed in Texas in fiscal 2002, and whereas 12,423 cases of child abuse and neglect were reported in Tarrant County in the year 2002, And whereas Northeast Tarrant County's Alliance for Children provided child-focused service to 370 children in 2002, and the SAVE program provided child abuse prevention services to 328 families and to 812 children in 2002. And whereas child abuse prevention is a community responsibility and finding solution depends on the involvement of all the people, and whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs that benefit children and their families, and whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among agencies, schools, religious organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community, and whereas everyone in the community should become more aware of child abuse prevention and consider helping parents raise their children in a safe, nurturing environment. Now, therefore, I, Calvin White, Mayor of the City of Haltom City, acting on behalf of the council of our city, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2003 to be Child Abuse Prevention Month in Haltom City, and we urge all of our citizens to work together to reduce child abuse and neglect significantly in the years to come. It's my privilege to present these proclamations to you at this time. Would you like to address our citizens?
Yes, actually, say a couple things. First of all, on behalf of the SAVE program, I just want to thank the residents of Haltom City for all of the support and encouragement that you guys have provided us. We've been working in this community since 1996, and it has been an incredible journey so far. We have been able to work with a lot of wonderful families and help them move through and prevent a lot of child abuse right here in Haltom City. So we're very proud, and we look forward to continuing work in this area. And I'd also like to present Mayor White with this Child Abuse Prevention Kit for 2003. And we also have blue ribbons for all of the city council members, which is to wear in remembrance of Child Abuse Prevention Month in April.
If you would, may I?
I work for Alliance for Children, as I said, and we have a program with the agency partners of law enforcement, Child Protective Services, Cook's Children's Medical Center, the Assistant DA, and we do investigations and prosecution of those child abuse cases at our facility. Haltom City has been very supportive of our program as well, and we have some really good detectives that work with our program from Haltom City. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. We sincerely appreciate you being here tonight, and thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
We have another proclamation to make tonight in recognition of Volunteer Month. Whereas volunteer community service is crucial in this time of peril and limited government resources, and whereas our volunteer force, more than 100 million people strong, is the fighting force behind making our country's solutions become a reality, and whereas it is the responsibility of all our citizens to seek answers and solutions to the problems that plague our country, and whereas it is time for all citizens to honor the people who have donated their time, energy, and strength to making our communities and our entire nation a safer and a more productive place to live, and whereas volunteer services allow people an opportunity to connect with one another while working together toward solving our community's serious social problems and ensuring our country's national security. Now, therefore, I, Calvin White, Mayor of the City of Haltom City, acting on behalf of the Council, do hereby proclaim April 27th through May the 3rd, 2003 to be National Volunteer Week in Haltom City. And we urge all of our citizens to observe this week by recognizing the individuals who have made a difference in our community and nation. And Fran Burns, if you will, join me at the podium at this time to receive this proclamation, and also you have some awards to make tonight of some of our great volunteers here in Haltom City. On behalf of the council, it is our pleasure to recognize this week as National Volunteer Week. Thank you, Ms. Burns.
Thank you very much for your time. Every year at this time, under the guidance of United Way of Greater Tarrant County, we select a Haltom City Volunteer of the Year. And we do this, it's just a small way of our recognizing the work that our volunteers do in Haltom City. And really, there's many programs that we couldn't carry out if it weren't for these people that dedicate their talents and time to us. So the way it works is we take nominations from the public, and we assemble a selection committee of 3 residents. We go through the nominations and pick out not only a Haltom City Volunteer of the Year, but also a Senior Volunteer of the Year, because we have so many seniors who dedicate themselves to improving our community. So this evening, unfortunately, our Senior Volunteer of the Year, Chloe Cardinal, is out of town, so we cannot make that presentation. And with your permission, we'll delay that till the next City Council meeting, because we really do want you to know all the wonderful things that she does. But in lieu of that, we would like to introduce the 3 other nominees and the overall Volunteer of the Year. And we'll do that by the nominators reading their nominations. So our first honoree is Lillian Wiggins. She was nominated by, this thing is in my way, Bobby Arthur. And because Bobby Arthur is not here, Mayor, would you mind coming and reading her nomination for us?
I'm sorry Bobby is not able to be here tonight. She had nominated Lillian Wiggins. Should we get Lillian up there? Lillian, will you join me at the lectern at this time, please? Turn around and face the audience, if you would. Lillian Wiggins, and I'm just reading what is said here. I don't know if it's nice for a gentleman to tell a lady's age or not, but this script does. So may I read that?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Lillian Wiggins, 78, resides at 5313 Ira in Haltom City and is an active participant at the Senior Center. Among the many volunteer jobs Lily is involved with is reception desk on Tuesday mornings, song leader and Bible study teacher on Thursdays, as well as helper to anyone else who needs her on the other days she is at the center. All can agree that she is our unofficial greeter, as she makes it a point to personally welcome every new participant and visitor that comes to the center. Her energetic and outgoing personality is such a blessing to everyone, truly someone who you'll never forget after having had the pleasure of meeting her. The caring and compassion that she has for others is visible through her volunteer work, the other volunteer work she does outside of the center, where she provides transportation to several who are unable to drive by, taking them to their doctor's appointments, shopping, and to the senior center. She makes phone calls to those who are ill and those who are unable to go to the center and to church, and has been known to give haircuts to those unable to go to the beauty shop. Are you volunteering any haircuts for any of us here tonight?
I think you'd do with just a neck shave.
Okay. I asked for that. I sure did.
Can she see the city manager from there?
I do.
He knows he don't. If he gives me an inch, I'll take him off, so don't say nothing to me.
Ms. Wiggins is a member of the Haltom Road Baptist Church, where she is very active and takes part in the NEED, the Northeast Emergency Distribution, by shopping and delivering items that are needed for their program.
Once a month.
And you do that once a month?
For 2 Sunday school classes.
Okay. So it's my pleasure at this time to read this. And do you have a plaque that is? Okay. Ms. Wiggins, it's my pleasure to present to you this proclamation, this plaque, that says thank you for all of the nice things you volunteer to do for so many people and how you make this world a better place for everyone. You made some comments a moment ago about my need for a neck shave. Do you have any other comments you'd like to make regarding some of the things you do?
I
Come on over here.
I don't, you know me, I don't need a microphone. I got a built-in one. The good Lord gave it to me. In '71, I started my volunteer work. I had a little brother that was in a bad car wreck, and I had to put him in the state school because I couldn't work out and take care of him too. So then I started volunteer work. For 2 years, I visited 5 nursing homes each week, entertaining. And then besides what I did all between that time. So, and I've tried to take care of people. I visited shut-ins. I've had Bible school, Sunday school in a nursing home for 2 years. From my pastor sent me there. It's been a privilege. Everything that I could do for somebody else, I did it for the Lord. And I've been a volunteer since in the early 70s. Thank you all.
Okay, our next nominee was nominated by Bob Watkins, and I'm going to ask him to come up and read his nomination of Jimbo White, J.B. White.
Well, that's a hard, if not impossible, act to follow. If I'd have known I was going to have to read this, I would have written it big enough to where I could see it. I hardly know where to start. In my estimation, Jimbo has been one of the top volunteers in Haltom City for the last several years, including 2002. He is constantly helping different groups and/or individuals of anything that needs doing. He has spent endless hours helping with Springfest, July 4th, Library, Girl Scouts, just to mention a few, and has been vice chair of the ZBA for close to 2 years, which is a thankless job at best. Jimbo's picture should appear under the definition of volunteer in the Haltom City Dictionary. You want to say something? Now, you want to follow her?
No, that's all right. I just want to tell everybody thank you, and I enjoy my volunteer work. That's why I do it. Thank you.
Jimbo.
You want to stand here between me and Fran?
Oh,
Fran,
okay.
you want to get a picture of the two of us? Sure.
Oh, okay.
Jimbo, we're very proud of you and the work you've done as a volunteer in Haltom City, and it's appropriate you be recognized here tonight, and we appreciate Mr. Watkins nominating you for an honor well deserved.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That was Jimbo's third time being nominated. He was saying today that he feels a little bit like Susan Lucci. Now for the top award actually is to be presented now by John Williams, who nominated Mary Spencer, who was our Volunteer of the Year. So Mary, come on up.
She's so sharp, this is going to make me look like a... Mayor, what did you do? She's so sharp, this is going to make me look like a giant. I can't take total responsibility for the nomination. I had some help from my colleagues up here. Each one of them I'd asked to try to get involved and help to nominate, and Jimbo's name come up, Mary's name come up. And this is a very prestigious award. I don't know if we take it serious enough. We have a lot of volunteers in Haltom City, and we thank every one of them that come out and do the work. And they, to get the award or being nominated for the award among all the other volunteers, it's a big thing to be nominated for. We want to nominate Mary Spencer as the Volunteer of the Year. She'd gone far beyond the average citizen, demonstrating her love for her city, state, and country. She serves on the Haltom City Beautification Board and is a strong supporter of recycling. While serving on the board, she made every litter pickup the board has sponsored. Mary also attended every Business of the Month sponsored by the Beautification Board and worked the Haltom City Christmas tree lighting, where she dressed in a Dickens costume, along with the other board members. Also, at Christmas, she greeted the tea buses and handed out pencils and fun pads an expensive $300 herself, and she wouldn't let us reimburse her for it. She's also chaired the Haltom City Lighting Contest, which has been a great success. She's also walked in the homecoming parade handing out goodies from her and the board. She participated in the citywide dumpster day where it rained and volunteers got soaking wet all day. Mary is also a faithful volunteer at the Great American Cleanup. Also works in booths sponsored by the Beautification Board, including the open house at Haltom City Fire Station. All the above efforts were performed in an effort to beautify and bring pleasure to those who live and travel through Haltom City. Mary has been featured in the Haltom City newspaper, which they have their photographer here tonight. I'm glad they're here. As the Northeast neighbor and is currently producing the paper's weekly crossword puzzle. She was volunteer of the 50th anniversary celebration and again walked the 4th of July parade handing out goodies and helped with the picnic. Mary attends the city council meetings and was recently chosen to serve on the Haltom City Charter Review Board Committee. She attended all the groundbreakings of the new city buildings, and she even entered in the Haltom City photo contest. And Mary also volunteered in teen court. She also did something else that's not on here because she's done it since then. She was one of the judges in the art show down at the library. While doing all this, she also maintains an adopted spot on Belknap and unofficially keeps the vacant lot next to her home maintained. In her spare time, Mary works full-time, goes to college full-time, and is active in her church. Myself and the other council members are very proud of what Mary's done for Haltom City, and she graduates in May, June. Again, this will be her 3rd degree she's got, and so I think she'll be looking forward to more education after that. She is the first person that ever got onto me for throwing a Coke can in the trash. So if anybody leaves here tonight and you have a trash can or something, do not put a Coke can in it. But Mary, we appreciate what you do for us, and I know you don't want to do it, but I'm going to let you speak.
Well, we'd like to say thank you to Phil and John for nominating me and for the council and Mr. Mayor. And I appreciate this more than you'll ever know. And I count it an honor and a privilege to work for my community. So if there's anything you need, call me.
Do I look skinny next to him?
How's that?
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Ms. Burns, and to all of our volunteers. I don't know what we'd do without you. You make Haltom City a much better place than it would be without you. We move now to item number 1, and that is a presentation for the Haltom Middle School Tiger Recycle Art Contest winners. And here to introduce this is our Library Services Director, Rodney Bland.
This contest is part of the is overseen by the Assistant Director for Public Services, and I'm going to introduce Leslie Smith and let her do the honors tonight.
Thank you very much. As many of you know, I'm a very shy person. What was that? Okay, I have a question before we start. How many of you have a Haltom City Public Library card? Raise your hand. All right, now you know that this is being videotaped, and I will have you on videotape, and I will be coming to your door, the ones of you who do not have a card. So you better come down to the library and get a card. I saw a couple of you here that didn't raise your hand, and I know where you guys live. Anyways, I've been asked to introduce the Tiger Recycle Art Award. This is Diane Lovell's art classes that put this together every year. We've been co-sponsoring this for approximately 10 plus years. We're very proud to co-sponsor this with the Haltom Middle School. And I promised Mr. Hadley, the principal of Haltom Middle School, if he did not have to talk, that he would come today and be introduced. Mr. Hadley, would you please rise and just say hello to everyone? And I promise you won't have to say a word. Thank you. What else can I say about the Tiger recycled art? The kids do this every year. We're very proud to be a sponsor of this, a co-sponsor, I should say. But I would like to acknowledge a few people before we get to the presentations. First off, our 3 judges, and I'm going to do this in alphabetical order. Nancy Hilger, who is a retired Fort Worth she's a Fort Worth ISD school or retired school teacher. Dave Lieber, who is a columnist with the Star Telegram, and Mary Spencer, who we all know very well now. Mary, thank you. And I would like to also acknowledge Trophies of Distinction, who has been giving us year after year the ribbons, the award ribbons. I want to thank them very much also. I'm going to say the names of all the kids and what their place is. Is there too much static here? Okay. Okay. Actually, I'm like you, Lily. I don't need the microphone. I'm going to say the kids' names and their place. And if you're here, there are 2 kids who are here. So please come forward. Don't be shy.
Ann?
You sure you don't want to take it with you?
Can I take it with you? I like to move around. Okay, I'm going to say everyone's name. And at the end, I would like to invite you to take your art piece with you. And also, I would like to invite everyone to look at the table. We've got the winners out there. All right, here we go. I've taken up too much time. In the Cultural Arts Division, Ruby Matthews, would you please stand, by the way, if you're not already standing? The other students, is everyone standing? Ruby Matthews, first place, Cultural Arts. Valerie Maples, second place. Chris Chavera is third, and third place again is Jacob Anderberg. In sculpture, would everyone just hold their applause till the end? Thank you. Sculpture, first place is Brent Landmesser. Second place is Chloe Aktuka. If I'm mispronouncing your name, I do apologize. In third place is Megan Nevis. And in honorable mention place is Nick Porter. In design category is, again, Jacob Anderberg. Second place is Melissa Martinez. And Carlos Alcala is third place. Print, the category of print is Jessica Harris first place, and second place is Justin Underhill. Honest, we're coming to the end. Mixed media, first place, Jacob Anderberg. Second place, Julian Weeks. Third place, Valerie Maples. Honorable mention is Sukche Kunvisith. I apologize for mispronouncing your name, honey. Chris Dickey is also honorable mention. And the best to show is Valerie Maples. Would everyone please give these kids a round of applause? Thank you.
To all of you who are winners, okay, we can do it that way. I was about to say turn around and face the audience, but this will work well. Congratulations to all of you. That work of art that all of you have done is beautiful. I don't know how you create something out of what you did, but you did a beautiful job. And I know all of you parents who are here tonight are proud of these youngsters as well as we are. Members of the council, any comments regarding the presentation? Okay, we move then to item number 2. Our Economic Development Director, Kent Flynn, will introduce this presentation to be made tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, our board president, the president of the Economic Development Corporation, Sharon Shirley Milius, is going to make the presentation for us.
Okay, and while she is coming forward at this time, for the benefit of those of you in the audience who may not know, at each one of our council meetings, we've been featuring one of our boards and commissions that help make Haltom City function and function smoothly, and we come tonight to the Economic Development Corporation. And the president, Sharon Shirley Melius, is here to make the presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilmen, staff, and citizens. I'm really glad to be here tonight and have the opportunity to explain to everyone and give you an overview of exactly what your Economic Development Corporation is and give you some of the highlights and some of the things that we've been doing. Kent and his wonderful helper have so graciously prepared a PowerPoint presentation for us, so I apologize. Some of the slides we're going to be rather brief on, but you can certainly get a full copy of the presentation from Kent. If you have any questions about it, he'll be glad to answer any that you might have as well. First thing I'd like to do is introduce our board members. Of course, there's myself, and then Clay Carruthers is the vice president. Clay's not here with us tonight. Councilmember Averitt, Councilmember Henderson, Councilmember Markham, and also Councilmember Williams also make up the rest of our EDC board members. Rick Thornton is no longer a board member. He actually relocated to Nacogdoches, and so unfortunately we lost him. He was a very good board member with us for a brief time, but he is not with us anymore. Just to explain to you a general overview of what the Economic Development Corporation is. We had an election in 1995 and also in 2000 to have a half-cent sales tax. And what we do with those half-cent sales tax is we use them to encourage business development here in the city of Haltom City. The three large areas for our corporation: we provide incentives for business, we fund projects, and then we also participate in the promotion of the city. 3 corporate relocations, and these are just 3 of the major ones that have been influenced by the Economic Development Corporation of the city. State Fair Foods is, of course, a large one that everyone is probably quite familiar with. 320 employees, $23 million investment, and they were incented to come and locate in Haltom City through the Enterprise Project and also a 10-year tax abatement from the City Council. They have been very busy over there and have actually had $1.6 million in renovations in 2002. Medtronic, Midas Rex, I'm sure everyone is familiar with the beautiful facility on Beach Street. They have 300 employees, they have a $7 million investment, and they were incented to relocate to Haltom City by a tax abatement for 10 years. They opened in 2000 in a 100,000 square foot facility. In the other half of the facility, we have FarmChem, which is a relocation actually from Menlo Park, California. They have 264 employees, and they opened in 2002. We actually incented them to come to Haltom City for free. It didn't cost anyone anything, so this is actually something that we're quite excited about. They were proud to be part of us and chose us over Las Colinas because of our location and our labor force that we have here in the city. Another program that the Economic Development Corporation has are Economic Development Assistant Grants. And what this is a grant program, an actual grant program. The money is given to the business up to a $25,000 grant, and it is a matching grant. And these are just some examples of some of the businesses that we've been able to help through this program. In addition to that, because of your half-cent sales tax, we have been able to let the city fund projects that they would not otherwise be able to without such the funds that came through the Economic Development Corporation. Of course, Broadway Park, we had quite extensive improvements made in 2001. The Animal Center, of course, opened last year. It's beautiful. The Rec Center, I know it kind of looks bad right now, but I promise you it will be fantastic. It's just a fantastic facility once it is completed, and we're very excited about that. And lots of street and utility projects that are going on all the time. All these are possible because of the Economic Development Corporation and the half-cent sales tax. We have a beautification project and one of the gateways of the city. It was completed in 2001. And then we have a streetscape plan. I'm not sure that all of you are familiar with it, but this is something that we've worked on for a long time, and it is actually supposed to start construction this summer, and it will encompass most of the Belknap corridor. So you can be watching for that as you're driving down the street. In the future, things that are on the horizon, our major project that is going on right now is the Little Fossil Creek Flood Zone Relief Project. This project will remove 450 acres out of the floodplain in Haltom City, which is just incredible for economic development purposes. And there are 400 structures that are currently in this floodplain that will benefit from this project. And in addition, just as an added bonus, $250,000 of the project is going to be used to construct a hike and bike trail. And it will end in a lake and a nature park. Also, we have a Trinity Railway Express shuttle project and to create a station at Hanley and Airport Freeway, and the bus route will link to this and will link 5,000 jobs in Haltom City to the Trinity Railway Express and the systems that it supports. Haltom Beach, the frontage road is finally under construction, and if you've driven by that, you've seen the project. This is another thing that was a long time coming. The drainage and asphalt and paving are just about complete, and the concrete should be complete by the end of May. This is very remarkable because this will provide access to over 100 acres there that was virtually unusable before we had the access road. Some of our promotional activities, we participate in the Quad Cities DFW Foundation. This is a new foundation to form an alliance with 4 cities and 2 independent school districts to promote the quality of life here in our area, in Haltom City, as well as the cities that surround us. Also, we are a supporter of the Northeast Tarrant County Chamber of Commerce. We participate in their programs and attend their functions. And then we are also a sponsor of the Moon Fest, which is the annual event of the All Asian Chamber of Commerce. It's held in September each year, was held at the Coliseum, and it's quite a large event, and we're very proud to be a part of that. Our annual event that we have is our Business Appreciation Dinner. It was previously a lunch, but we changed it to a dinner last year. What the purpose of this is to recognize the Haltom City business people, to say thank you for what they do for our city, and to also present the Blaine Calloway Award for the business person that we feel like most represents the spirit of Haltom City. These are some examples of our ads and brochures that we currently have, and plans are in the works right now to expand on our Shop Haltom City campaign and to add more to our restaurant and retail guide. If you haven't had the opportunity to see these publications, please stop by, call Kent's office and get some copies because they really are very nice. On the horizon, future projects that we have, we are going to make our geographic information available online to give people outside our area maps of the buildings that we have available and the land that we have available and things like that to make the process a little bit simpler and just to encourage more and more businesses to come into Haltom City and also to give additional information to our businesses that are already here. Also, something that I think Ken is passing out right now, something that we're very excited about, is we now have a newsletter. I have been asked by several of the citizens, where can we find out what's going on and what's new in Haltom City and what the Economic Development Corporation is doing. Well, we have a newsletter now, and this will be presented on a quarterly basis. It will be available to all the citizens, so anyone at any time can have that information to know what we're doing. Also, we're going to link that newsletter to the website. On a positive note, our building permits and COs are up across the city, even though I know that there has been more apparent the bad things, the more negative things that have happened with the Winn-Dixie, of course, is closed and Kmart is closing. But just to let you know that despite this slowdown that we've seen across the nation, we are way up for the first 3 months of 2003. So it's a 55% increase over last year. And commercial building permit value, the value of that is up almost 30%. So that's something very positive as well. This is also in your newsletter, and this will give you information that shows you that the commercial activity is widespread throughout the city. It's not just located in 1 or 2 different areas. So it really is throughout the city, and there are some very encouraging and positive things going on. This will give you an example of some of the new businesses and some of the improvements. You're probably familiar with this. And just in closing, I would like to encourage everyone to please visit our Haltom City businesses and continue to support them. And we certainly appreciate your support, and shop Haltom City because you can see your sales tax money is definitely in action.
Thank you, Ms. Melius. We appreciate the presentation. Our Economic Development Corporation is a very important part of our function here as the city of Haltom City, and it benefits everybody involved. And we now have a better understanding of what the Economic Development Corporation does and how it improves the quality of our community. So thank you for what you do as president of that corporation, and convey our appreciation to all the members of the board, if you would. We move now to the consent agenda. That consists of items number 3 through 17. If you're following along on your agenda, we will be removing item number 9 and 10, and we'll take separate action on those. And let me make just a couple of comments about the consent agenda. All of these items are considered to be self-explanatory, and they'll be enacted by the council with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of any item except the 2 that we just mentioned. Approval of the consent agenda authorizes the city manager to implement each item in accordance with staff or board recommendations.
Mayor, if I could, I believe item number 13 and 14 were also going to be removed for action later after executive session.
That is correct. So if you are keeping score, we have removed item number 9 and 10, and item number 13 and 14. And on item 13 and 14, we will address that following executive session. I'm in line for a motion. Councilmember Averett.
Mayor, I make the motion we approve the consent agenda with the removal of items number 9 and 10 and 13 and 14.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second? Councilmember Markham?
Second.
Have a motion, a second. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, if you will register your vote, I will display it, and that passes by unanimous vote. We come now to item number 9. Do we need Mr. Torres to address each one of those separately, or shall we address both of them together?
I think they ought to be addressed separately, Mayor.
Okay. Since our purchasing agent is not here to introduce this item on the agenda, Mr. Torres, would you like to introduce item number 9 at this time?
For the benefit of the public that are here and at home this evening, there was some discussion during our pre-council meeting on item number 9 and items number 9 and 10, and I think there was some differences of opinion about actually proceeding and purchasing some of these vehicles. So item number 9 consists of the recommended purchase of one Ford Taurus vehicle that would have been used as an unmarked vehicle in our criminal investigation unit. And that's all I have unless anybody has any questions.
Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to table agenda item number 9 until such time as city staff can get back with the council and we can determine how we're going to proceed on that particular agenda item.
We have a motion to table. Councilmember Hurley.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Councilmember Fowler, your light is on. Is that for discussion or for question?
That was for a second, Mayor.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, if you'll register your vote, and the display shows unanimous passage. Mr. Torres, would you introduce item number 10?
Item number 10 consists of a recommendation to purchase 4 Crown Victoria Police Interceptor units that would be used as marked vehicles, and these would be replacement vehicles.
Okay. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. Move to approve the purchase of the police patrol vehicles.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Henderson. Councilmember Fowler.
I'd like to provide a substitute motion if there's not a second.
Okay. Councilmember Jennings, I believe you had your light.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to second that motion with the stipulation that the price that we received in our packet did not reflect the correct price of the cameras as we discussed in pre-council. Those were spec'd by the Crime Control and Prevention District, and we want to make sure that we purchase what was authorized by them.
Okay, we have a motion. Council Member Averett.
Mayor, I would like to listen or hear what Councilmember Fowler's substitute motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a before we proceed, we do have a motion and a second. As a part of the discussion on the motion, yes, we can hear Councilmember Fowler's thoughts about what he'd like to do rather than this particular motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we'd spoken in pre-council, one suggestion I might have, I'm fully in support, and I think everyone on the council is in support of the need to update our police units for our officers that patrol our streets, and not only for their safety, but for the safety of our citizens. One thing that I would like to see us possibly consider is not to scrap this idea, but possibly to look, being these are Ford units, possibly look at the possibility to purchase units from 5-Star Ford or someone that's here locally. That way we can keep some of the money close to our community and provide an opportunity to maybe have some of that in return, doing business with some of the other communities that are here close to us, and make an effort to do that, to keep the taxes close to this community. I would much rather see us do that than if we can get a vehicle for the same price, or these 4 units for the same price from, say, 5-Star Ford in North Richland Hills would make a lot more sense than taking $150,000 to Houston, Texas, where it's not, I don't see how it would be able to benefit us any at all in return.
Okay, Councilmember Fowler has presented his thoughts on what he would prefer. We have a motion on the floor. Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a brief comment about what Trey just brought up. It's my understanding that the vehicles currently being spec'd and are before us tonight for purchase are purchased through a pool by the state of Texas. And as a result of this, police vehicles throughout the state are purchased through this particular pool at a substantial discount. Certainly I would not be opposed to purchasing vehicles from a local source, provided that we could get the same discount. I think you're going to find when you look into this, and I have no problem instructing staff to do so, but I think what you're going to find is you may be able to save $1,000 by going through, say, 5-Star Ford versus the $2,000 or $3,000 that you'll save going through the pool. So I would not be opposed to, having staff check into it, certainly before the purchase is made, but I think it's incumbent upon us to spend the money as wisely as possible, and if there's a $2,000 difference per unit, then certainly I would want to go ahead and go through the pool and purchase them that way.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you. I similar agree with Councilmember Fowler. We brought it up back in the back about if Hempstead, I think, is the place that where the pool is getting these cars out. That's right outside of Houston. These 4 vehicles are going to be in excess of $100,000, and if we buy those cars, that $100,000 goes 250 miles down Interstate 45. So it's going to take a long time for that money to get back to Haltom City, as opposed to sending it with 5-Star. I don't know who does our warranty work. I think 5-Star probably does our warranty work. I'm not pushing for 5-Star or any other dealership here in town, but I would like to try to keep it in Tarrant County if I could. If not, with our neighbor here, with the we endorse the chamber. I think we are trying to endorse the chamber's businesses, if all possible. All these Fords are built by Ford Motor Company. All of them priced by Ford Motor Company. They may come by the pool, but my experience in automobile business which is very little, but you can usually get the same price from a dealer here that you can get from the dealer across the street or across the nation. So I would very much like to look into that and see if we could keep our money here in the Haltom City area.
Councilmember Henderson, and then Councilmember Markham.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. I don't have a problem with with amending my motion to reflect back to Betty that we purchase the vehicles from the lowest possible price. I do have a problem with spending $2,000 or $3,000 more per vehicle if we use a local company. I'm here to get the best bang out of the buck, so to speak, and if it requires purchasing vehicles from Hempstead, I don't have a problem with that if we're saving $2,000 or $3,000 a vehicle, which adds up over 4 vehicles, $10,000 or $12,000. But I will reflect my motion to state that we get the best possible price, which I think Betty's already done that, but I will restate my motion.
Okay, would you restate it specifically, please? Your motion is?
Approve the purchase of the police patrol vehicles at the lowest stated price, whether it be 5-Star Ford or anybody in Tarrant County or Hempstead Ford out of Houston.
Okay. Councilmember Henderson has removed his original motion and has amended that. And Mr. Elfrink, you look like you need to say something before I even ask for a second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just comment on one aspect of this purchasing decision, and if I say something that may be incorrect, I'll ask the city attorney perhaps to add to my comments, but state law requires that we award this bid to the lowest responsible bidder. We do have provisions to award a bid to give a 3% favoritism to a bidder who happens to be inside of our city limits. And I recognize very clearly the difference between sending our money, say, 250 miles from here to a business that is part of our chamber, part of our county, and may very well have employees who live in Haltom City. I recognize that very clearly. I think the motion, though, that perhaps should be made tonight is perhaps to reject these bids, let us go back out and seek additional bids from 5-Star Ford. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but there's another Ford dealership just a few miles down the road on 820 that I've gone by 100 times, relatively new one. And we'll look into these issues of perhaps trying to find a local dealer in Tarrant County that can provide the same price. And Counselor, am I basically on mark there with regard that we must award to the lowest responsible bidder? We can't just show favoritism to someone because of their locale.
Absolutely, that's correct. As I'm reading the council packet agenda item on this, it appears that these bids were received through the Tarrant County Joint Venture Cooperative Purchasing Program, and I don't know what their pool of bidders was, but they are required, the same as we would be, to bid this as a condition of our participation in that program. But there's nothing that prohibits us from going out for another bid, and specifically to solicit bids from local dealerships to see what price that might bring. But we do have to go through the statutory procedures for advertising in the newspaper and accepting the bids and awarding the contract to the lowest responsible bidder.
Comments, Mr. Torres?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, but on this particular item, we didn't advertise and go seek bids. We are just simply riding on this pool and purchasing and attempting to purchase vehicles at the price that they previously bid.
You're absolutely correct. There are a number of statewide and regional pools in the state that are recognized by purchasing law as going through the bid procedure for us. So your term that we are piggybacking along is pretty appropriate.
So there's not really a need to reject these bids, because it's not a requirement at this point to reject. If I think if the council desires us to potentially advertise and seek out bids of our own and compare what bids we get in to this stated price, that's probably the best way to compare them, and then bring the item back.
Yes, right? If we're going to go outside of these pools, so to speak, and try and develop an individual purchase relationship with one of these independent dealers, then that's a whole different matter, and I believe we would have to go through the advertising process. As long as we stay with one of these pools, and there's at least 5 of them, I believe, that are out there, then we avoid the cost of advertising, the time delay of advertising. But I don't know that time is the most critical factor here, and Chief should speak up on that.
A few weeks,
Right.
a month, or whatever is probably not that.
But if we want to deal directly one-on-one with Five Star Ford or the other Ford dealership that's located a few miles down the road, then I believe we have to advertise and go through the process.
And we give them an opportunity to submit a bid, and then we compare, and we bring them back to the council and show that comparison to the council.
Absolutely, and my staff will be glad to do that. We want to spend the money in the most effective way possible, too.
Mr. Muir, I believe you have a comment regarding this.
I'm sorry. Just one additional comment. You're looking at the buying power of Haltom City against the buying power of Tarrant County. I'm not, this council can do certainly whatever they see fit, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to get any better bids than what Tarrant County or any of these other pools got, because they are going on volume. They've got a tremendous amount of vehicles that they're potentially going to be awarding a bid to. So the prices are going to be much more aggressive than what we're going to be bidding out for 4 or 5 vehicles.
Yeah, I don't suspect that we're going to get a better price.
I can almost guarantee we will not.
We would just have an ability to compare this price to a local price and see how much more it will cost us. But I agree with Tom. I believe it will cost us more. It just depends on how much more y'all want to spend to buy local. It's y'all's
That's
call.
mainly what I said. It's mainly going to cost time and money.
Okay, let me take care of a little procedural matter here, and then Council Member Jennings, Mayor Pro Tem Jennings, I believe, had his light on first. We had an original motion, pardon me. We had an original motion made by Councilmember Henderson, seconded by Councilmember Jennings, and then Councilmember Henderson withdrew that first motion and has made a second motion. We do not have a second on that, and in the meantime, with these 2 members of the staff who felt like there was relevant, urgent information that needed to be brought into the discussion, we have not received a second on that, but in the process, they presented perhaps an alternative that we just need to pull this thing off the table completely and come back at a later time, I believe. Is Mr. Elfrink, that was your thought?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. And again, even if there is a strong desire on the part of the council to award locally, if it's not the most competitive price, I think we are prohibited by law from doing so.
Okay, Councilmember Jennings, I believe you had your light on first.
Okay, in order of importance, I would not be for tabling this particular agenda item. I believe the motion that was stated was to instruct staff to purchase these vehicles at the best possible price, which would be within the law. I'm certainly not in the automotive business, although I did spend about 20 years as a parts manager, and I know that what Mr. Muir has stated here, we're talking about the purchasing power of Haltom City versus the purchasing power of Tarrant County. And from a dealership standpoint, you're talking about being able to do something on a dealership level versus being able to do something on a pool level, and you come up against the same things. We did 250 cars for the city of Fort Worth, and we went broke on account of it because of all the special equipment that you have to get. These places are not set up. They don't have sources for this particular equipment. They have to go source it out, and I know because I had to do it. When you go through the pool, these things come prefabricated, ready to go to your specs. I, too, do not believe that you'll be able to beat the price. I don't believe that you'll be able to get within $2,000 or $3,000. But I am, however, willing to invest 3 or 4 weeks, and let's approach 1 or 2 of these dealerships. I think you may find that they will not be interested in bidding them, but certainly feel free to do so. But I would second the motion as stated, that we buy the vehicles at the best price possible, and if that's through the pool, fine. I do not have any problem with having staff search local dealerships and take other bids, but I think we're going to end up right back where we were. But if we table this, then we're going to have to bring it back for action. If we go ahead and vote to purchase it at the best possible price, once they determine what that is, they're free to go ahead and do so. So that would be my second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Councilmember Henderson, the second by Councilmember Jennings, and I believe Councilmember Hurley, Councilmember Williams, Councilmember Fowler, Councilmember Markham, in that order, please.
I was just going to add that these vehicles, as they're priced, are already equipped, fully equipped with their technical equipment, that if the staff goes out for a bid, that they also include all of this special equipment in there to be comparable.
Councilmember Williams?
Well, I'm going to give y'all a free lesson in car business. Each and every one of these dealers, where they carry 10 cars a year, 10 cars a month, or 1,000 cars a month, are allowed at the same price identically to what these automobile costs. They do not get any discount whatsoever. As far as the more cars they buy, they all still get the same. The reason is to make it competitive for all of them. The only one thing is that the consumer doesn't know, each car that comes out is built in with a $750 to $1,000 holdback. It's up to the dealer's discretion whether he wants to let that $750 to $1,000 holdback go or not. You take a local dealer, might want his name. I can see a guy in Waco probably won't want to bid on the Haltom City cars because it's no advantage to him. One of the local persons, Don Davis, 5-star, Big Billy Barrett, one of them, they may want the prestige of saying that they furnish Haltom City's cars. So that gets into that same money that, like Mr. Hurley says, they all come equipped alike. All these dealers are allowed to buy them alike. But, well, my junior man here saying they don't do that, so I'll rest it. I'll be voting against this.
Councilmember Fowler?
I just want to make sure that we get the best vehicles and that we get the best price possible. That's the intent of this, of the questions that I had for this. I think that it's a necessity that we have these units. And I think it's vital that our, like I previously stated, that our police officers and our citizens are protected. And I think that that's crucial. That's the most important thing. I think that, you know, how we get there is up to the staff, but I just would like to make sure that y'all chased every avenue and make sure that we find, I know, whether it be, as you previously stated, that there are 5 different pools. I know there's a county pool, there's a state pool, I just want to make sure that we've researched all those and make sure that this is the best avenue that we have, and I'm sure that we probably have, but that was my reason for questioning it. Thank you.
Councilmember Markham, and then Councilmember Averett, and then we'll call for the vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question for Pat or Tom or even Richard. If we try to go outside or within Tarrant County and try to reach a better price, hopefully we can. I don't know, but what's the time frame are we working within this pool? Because you understand what I'm saying, Pat? Because there's a time frame, or there's got to be a time limit within this pool bid.
When the prices are no longer guaranteed.
When the prices are no longer valid.
I cannot answer that, Councilman. I'm sure you're right. It's probably a 30, 60-day window. We'll look into that. One of my main concerns, though, as I read the motion thus far, and I'll ask the counselor to comment on this. If, and I think it's very unlikely, but if we were to find a local dealer with a lower price, we would have to bring that item back to council for approval. Correct, Counselor? Thank you.
Okay.
Anything further, Councilmember Markham?
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Averett?
Mayor, I was going to ask if you could repeat the motion that had been made and seconded.
I cannot repeat it, but the gentleman who made it, I think, should be able to repeat
for clarification.
And yes, thank you for that question.
Third time's a charm. I make a motion that we approve the purchase of police patrol vehicles, 4 of them, at whether it be this pool or the best, lowest price that we can get, be it Tarrant County or Dallas County or Harris County. I want the best possible price, whether it be this pool or otherwise.
Okay. Councilmember Averett, you had a question, and Councilmember Hurley.
Well, I do have a question. Now, he is basically, with that motion, instructing staff to go out and advertise and try to seek new bids for these patrol units. Is that correct? Okay.
Councilmember Hurley?
I'm with you for the best price, but should we put a time frame on this? How long is it we're basically in the motion going to give the staff approval to go ahead and purchase these vehicles at the best price. What kind of a time frame are we talking about? 30 days, 60 days,
Tom's saying 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
6 weeks, that needs to be reflected in the motion. Is that reflected in your motion? Okay, and Councilmember Jennings, that reflected in your second, the 6 weeks factor. Councilmember Williams.
2 problems. One, when that car hits the ground, it's X amount of dollars. They can't raise the price on that car once it hits the ground. Now, as the price increase, if there's different cars from that come in, they do that. The part that's going to be unfair on this, you've got bids on these 4 sedans right now, and you're going to advertise for bids. This is open record. 5 Star can come over here and look at this, underbid them. I don't think that's fair to the people that bid them. I think should have been some more time put into it before we did it.
Mr. Torres?
But I'm of the impression these are not bids. We're just simply riding on this pool's previously.
Whether it's this bid or state, they open their bids, they award their contracts. Tarrant County did it, state did it, HJC, they all advertise their prices. If cities want to go out and bid for their own vehicles after the fact, which many do, those prices are public record. They can go in there and equal them, undercut it if they want. Typically, some do, some don't. Depends on the dealership. Depends on how bad they want it. But yes, it's public record. It's the way the game's played. They can go in there. They know what the price to beat is. So it shouldn't be we shouldn't be getting anything higher than that. Assuming the bids are still good by the time we award the contract if we go back out for bids.
Councilmember Williams, did you have further questions or issues?
No, sir, I think I pretty well wore it out.
Councilmember Jennings, Councilmember Fowler, and then I'm going to call for the vote.
Mr. Mayor, I move the motion at this time, please. I move you vote the motion at this time,
Okay.
please.
If you will, gentlemen, register your vote. Okay, we have it, everybody. We display that showing a 6 in favor, 1 opposed. We come now to the next item on the agenda, which is the Visitor Citizens Forum, and after this is addressed, we will take a 10-minute break. The Visitor Citizens Forum is a time in our meeting set aside for any person having business before the council that is not scheduled on the agenda to have an opportunity to speak to the council. A 5-minute time limit is granted. Council cannot discuss or debate any issue brought forth at this time, nor can any formal action be taken because this is not a posted item in accordance with the Texas the open meetings law. All speakers must limit their comments to the specific subject matter as noted on the card and must refrain from personal attacks toward any individual. We do have one speaker request card. It's Mr. James Grazan. Mr. Grazan, if you would come to the podium, and if you will give us your name and your address for the record, and your 5 minutes has begun.
My name is James Grazan. I reside at 2821 Eleanor, Fort Worth, Texas. Boy, after these volunteers up here, I kind of feel a little funny. But nevertheless, what I've come to discuss is the fact of selective code enforcement in this city. I've been victimized by it, I believe. I've, on the behalf of myself and Annabelle Watkins, would like to make the council knowledgeable of such. I've been told many times you can't fight City Hall. I didn't come to fight. I came to discuss and looking for some resolutions and some answers. I will try to be as brief as I can. I feel like that we've been discriminated against socially and economically by some of the staff. We have talked to a few of the council members about it. There's been little or no action. But what I do hear every time I see our council members on the news is they say, well, we were not aware of it. We didn't know. Can't say that tomorrow, folks. We're here. I plan to stay till the meeting's over this evening if anybody cares to talk to me. By Thursday, if I don't have any resolutions, I'm going to go over and ask WFAA. I'm going to beg for their help for some. Thank you for your time. And there certainly is some good volunteers I was certainly glad to be here for them.
Thank you, Mr. Grzan, for your comments before the council at this time. If we could, let's take a 10-minute break, and that will bring us back in at 5 minutes till 9. Back to order. The time is 5 minutes till 9. We're now ready for the announcements and events portion of our agenda. We have 6 different announcements tonight to be made. The first by our city engineer, Greg Van Hughes, regarding Broadway and Carson Street. Good news on both fronts.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to invite the public for the next public meeting for the Broadway Avenue project. That meeting will be next Monday, April 21st at 6 o'clock in the evening, and it'll be in this room at City Hall. And at that time, the contractor will provide his update. Typically, that meeting starts out with his forecast for the immediate construction schedule and his estimated time of completion. And after that, staff will answer any questions that the public has concerning the project. Now, concerning Carson Street, it's my understanding that as of late this afternoon, the contractor has opened up all the side streets. If you remember, quite a few of the side streets on the west side of Carson were closed. It's my understanding that they are all open now. His pavement marking crews have come in as of late Friday, and they've got most of the marking done for the new southbound lanes from Belknap all the way to Midway. Currently, as everyone is aware, Carson is 2 lanes. Those 2 lanes are one north, one south. They are on the far east side of the street. What he's trying to do is get all his pavement marking done for the new 2 southbound lanes on the west side of the street. That should be done by either sometime late tomorrow afternoon or first thing Wednesday morning. When he has those lanes available, he will switch the one current southbound lane that's over on the east side of the street to the west side of the street, so they will both have 2 southbound lanes. There will still continue to be one northbound lane on the east side of the street as he takes the old southbound lane and converts it into a northbound lane. Essentially what he's got to do is get rid of the yellow pavement buttons and put down white pavement buttons. So it'll either be late Wednesday or Thursday, and you'll have the 5 lanes as we should have had. I should have had some paper and a nice little drawing. With that,
Members
that's the
of the
latest
council,
update.
questions or comments for Greg regarding Broadway or Carson? Thank you, Greg. I don't believe we have any questions. We're looking forward to Broadway and especially Carson, first of all, to get open. Councilmember Williams, I believe you have an announcement to make regarding dumpsters, and then you had another matter you wanted to announce at this time, please.
Thank you. Haltom City will be celebrating Earth Day Saturday, the 26th of April. Is Greg still talking? I had to do that to you. 26th of April, Birdville Environmental Studies Center across from the Haltom High School. Creek cleanup, picnic for the volunteers. There'll be a tree giveaway and planting. Now, this will not be big 30-year-old trees. There'll be little seedlings that they're going to give to you. There'll be cell phone collection. If anybody got no cell phone that they want to get rid of, we'll be collecting those. And there'll be displays, games, and green activities. Also, the cleanup continues. Clean Sweep 2003 Dumpster Day, Saturday, April the 26th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This will take place at 5643 East Belknap, behind McDonald's there just to the east. Be a part of the Great American Cleanup by cleaning your property. You're asked not to bring any household garbage, tires, hazardous waste, liquid materials. You must show proof of residency. This disposal is being provided free to you by the Keep Haltom City Beautiful and the City of Haltom City and Haltom City ISI, and also the Haltom City Estate is furnishing the property for us to do that on. So that will be Clean Sweep 2005. And I think the city manager, you're going to touch 2003. Are you going to touch on there, or you want to let me go ahead and do that? Also on this this Clean Sweep, we're starting a project to clean the city up, going from one end of town to the other. We're not going to, and as Mr. Grzan said, the selective enforcement, we're going to try not to do that. We're going to try to get everybody to do this individually and voluntarily. And one of the things that seems to be a sore spot with a lot of people is the Haltom Estate, located on 377. I know that the mosquito season is fixing to get back underway, and we're all concerned about the West Nile mosquito, and I'm happy to announce that the owners and the operators of the estates, the city manager, I think a couple other city staff, and also Councilmember Hurley have been working very hard to bring that to a close, to get that problem taken care of. So we should be seeing some relief on that pretty quick. I also have an environmental collection center that's free to the Haltom City residents. All this will be back there in the back on the tables. You can get copies of 6400 Bridge Street in Fort Worth, Texas. Also, I'm going to jump back the other way. Springfest, we had that this last week. It was a tremendous success. I want to thank George Fowler and his staff for the job they did opening up Haltom Road Park for us. All the city's different departments came out there and had displays. We had entertainment. The kids had a marvelous time out there, and I think there was a good time had by all. And that brings us to another note. Haltom City Concerts in the Park will kick off Thursday, May the 15th. You're invited to come listen to the big band sounds of the South Lake Swing Band starting at 7:30 in Haltom Road Park. Picnics are encouraged. Bring your lawn chairs and your blankets. All of the concerts are free, and bring plenty of fried chicken for me. What is a big band, Mayor? Do you know?
Yes, I do. It's great music.
Is that like 40 or 50 people in the band, or what is that?
No, it's a particular style of music that's about that 40 or 50 years old. Glenn Miller, those guys from World War II era. Great music, and
not that I thought you would know. I just thought.
Well, I do know.
I didn't know what a big band was. There's also another brochure back there in the back. It's available through our Haltom City information. It's stated you thought you could, but you can't. And it's got a list of things in here like parking your car on the grass, having the garage sale without a permit, just some simple things people take for granted that some of them are in violation of city law and just not aware of it. So we've got an informational packet here to help you out with that. And with saying that, Mr. Mayor, I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Williams. Our City Secretary, Brenda Staub, has an announcement to make at this time.
Yes, I want to remind everyone that early voting starts Wednesday, April the 16th, from 8 to 5 at the Haltom City Police storefront. For the members watching on TV, I do want to let you know that on our website we do have the early voting schedule, and we also have a sample ballot, and they're also posted at all the city buildings for your review before voting.
Okay, thank you. David Fain, our Public Works Director, has an announcement to make. I think somebody mentioned West Nile virus a moment ago. Mosquitoes is going to be on the minds of all of us. I believe you have something to tell us about that.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As we well know, this mosquito season is upon us, actually. I'm sure within the next week the phones will be ringing our Public Works facility as well as City Hall reporting some problems with mosquitoes. The Public Works Department actually has a program which falls into three main categories: surveillance, control, and education. That's how we're going to hopefully attack mosquito situation in our community this year. In surveillance, we want to identify and catalog breeding sites, which are areas where mosquito larvae is found or the right conditions exist for breeding. If you call in, you have a complaint or a concern about mosquitoes, we will identify that on the map, so we'll know areas of concern, so we can identify that, immediately go out and try to spray or put larvicide out if necessary. So with your calls we can receive, we'll identify this. And then this will map the complaints to identify areas of concern. Also, the city received a grant from Tarrant County, approximately $1,800, which allows us to have mosquito traps. And we'll put these out in various locations throughout the community, and then the Tarrant County will look at these mosquitoes and identify any concerns, they have a virus and that type of thing. And we'll identify those areas of concern while we identify mosquitoes through our trapping. Of course, control, that's where Public Works facility staff will play a key role. We want to encourage homeowners to reduce any standing water that they may have on their property. Also call Public Works if you know some standing water that may be of concern. We will do this through site reduction along creeks and drainage with our staff, clean up high weeds, and here again to alleviate some of the areas that hold water. We will also do what's called larviciding, which is just actually, you call it briquette. We put these throughout the community in these drainage areas to help alleviate the larvae. We will also spray, an aggressive approach this year is to spray storm drains. We all know that mosquitoes come out in early morning and late evenings. We also want to have an aggressive approach during the daytime hours where mosquitoes may lie. That would be in storm drains. So we will be spraying storm drains this year. A real aggressive approach hopefully will alleviate some problems. Of course, lastly is education. We have 3 city employees that have gone to some training and are licensed by the state of Texas to spray our community with certain types of pesticides. We will also have information on our website, our city website, about mosquito control, and also through the water bills we will send out information sheets. And also I know Fran will pass out some sheets at different public events that she is involved with. With that, I think there's 2 other issues I was going to address, and that was railroad crossings. Recently the railroad came in and repaired the Haltom road crossing, and city crews came in immediately after that and tied in the railroad with of course the city street. Today the railroad is addressing the concern at the McLean Road crossing, and hopefully they're through this evening. They had identified a 7 p.m. completion time of tonight. Hopefully they're complete with that project. If not, they will immediately, hopefully sometime tomorrow, will be complete with that project. The street department will immediately move in and tie in the street with the railroad crossing. Haley Street, the council identified in the budget of this year street improvements to Haley Street. In January, a new sewer line was installed. City crews are moving in this week to lower some of the water services, and we are working with the gas company. Hopefully they will move in the next week or two and lower their gas service at this location. Once the utilities are lowered, then city crews will move in and cut the street, cut and fill different areas, and then we will overlay this particular street with an anticipated deadline of completion of June the 1st. And I will answer any questions that you may have.
Councilmember Jennings, Williams, and Fowler in that order, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One question about the area of McLean up there just east of the railroad crossing that they're working on, in front of the MIC Corporation headquarters there, where the big trucks come in and out. I noticed that we currently have some city barricades up there, and we've done a little work. It looks like cutting some of the asphalt out in that area. I was just wondering why we didn't attempt to repair that particular portion of the street while they had that crossing closed, because you have no through traffic there. It would have seemed like today would have been the ideal time to, try to work that out. I was just wondering why we didn't do something on that.
Good point, Councilman. And that particular area was actually identified, I believe, over the weekend. Driving to work this morning, there were barricades there.
Right, and there's several places right in that immediate area in front of MIC there that, certainly need some attention. And I guess possibly while we've got the trucks out there working the ramp over the railroad track, they're going to address that area there in front of that company that they've got barricaded off also.
Yes, we'll identify those areas.
That's my only question. Thank you.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you. Mr. Fain, I appreciate that report. Backing back up to the railroad, you were hired in approximately in January, I believe.
Yes, sir. My first day was January the 20th.
Probably not long after that you heard about the railroad crossings?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. At that point, or from that point up to now, have you had any direction from any member of this council to put one crossing ahead of the other?
No, sir. Sure have not.
How did it come about how you were going to get the Haltom Road ahead of McLean?
The directive actually comes from the railroad. Of course, the city manager and I discussed the approach, and it was told from the railroad that actually Haltom Road crossing would be completed before the McLean crossing by the railroad.
We'd had a citizen bring that up that I think Councilmember Jennings had wanted the McLean since he traveled that way, and I wanted to clarify that because no one on this council that I know of had asked for anything. And I don't even think I think maybe the city manager might have mentioned Haltom Road to the railroad. I want to thank Union Pacific Railroad. This is a project that was probably going to be July is when it was anticipated. I'm probably looking at August or September probably when they would have done it. They shut that track down. 18 trains come through there a day. That's quite an operation to shut down for a day. And the finished product that they had on Haltom Road, I think, was a very good product they did. I haven't seen McLean yet. I do understand the railroad officials have extended an olive branch and offered to pay for the asphalt on the approaches on both those.
Yes, that's correct. And I'm putting a call in the morning to follow up on that issue to see if they will pay for the asphalt.
Right. I'd got a call from Mr. Tice from Omaha, Nebraska, and he had told us that they weren't in the railroad business. They weren't in the road building business, and they would rather us to put the aprons in, and they would furnish that. So, in my opinion, the day is the 14th of April. Regardless of which one they done, we got them both done within about 3 weeks. I think that's very good. I want to commend staff on their working with it in the fire department and police department for having to be inconvenienced by having to go around. But I think the finished product we got and the goodwill we have working with the railroad, and I also understand Beautification Board will probably be happy to hear this, that the Union Pacific Railroad has also agreed for the pickup days out there that they would probably furnish the bags for the pickups along their right-of-ways.
Councilmember Fowler.
Mr. Fain, the in regards to Haley Street project, is that going to have curb and gutter? I know some of the citizens that asked about it, about being 28 foot right of way, I believe. Is that back a curb?
There's actually a 50-foot right of way there to work with, but the plan is not to provide curb and gutter.
It is not to.
No, sir.
what will be the,
It would just be ditches for drainage.
okay, is there a reason we're not gonna put curb and gutter in?
It was not budgeted to provide curb and gutter.
That predates David, certainly, because this is a project that started last summer, or maybe earlier than that, actually. It was a decision that was made last year that we would just go back in there with asphalt, not put curb and gutter. To curb and gutter that street would probably take several years of working it into the overall plan, and there are a number of reasons why, but there is no curb and gutter plan, or has been planned for that street.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fain, for your report. Any other announcements or events before we move on to item number 18? There being none, item number 18 has to do with a final plat of a piece of property, and our planning director, Mr. James Pliska, will make the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, citizens of Haltom City. This item is P006-03, consideration and/or action regarding the application of Ms. Margaret Minta on behalf of Sprint PCS for the final plat of Lot 1, Block 1, Rescue Rooter Edition, being a final plat of Tract 27B, G Acres Survey, Abstract 30, located on the west side of Menace Drive, containing approximately 3.32 acres of land and located in the 2400 block of Menace Drive. The applicant is final platting the property in order to construct a cellular antenna facility on the site and to bring the lot into compliance with the city's subdivision ordinance. As stated previously, the site is located on the west side of Menace and contains approximately 3.32 acres of land. The property is currently zoned M1 Industrial District, and there is currently a commercial plumbing facility located there. All utility companies have been notified regarding the need for additional easements across the property. Charter Communications and Southwestern Bell have responded to the city's requests. TXU has not responded, however, any request will be honored as received. We also, at the latter part, received a request from the gas utility easement as well. There was some discussion on the existing utility locations. Staff records had noted that the existing building was a Type 5 building that would have requested a looped water system for fire protection. However, it has since been proved through inspections that the facility is a Type 2 structure, and therefore we're just requesting extra fire protection. That'll be in the form of additional hydrants. Also showed for an 8-inch main in Menace Drive. Again, access to the property is from Menace. Fire lanes are provided on the plat through the required statements. The southerly portion of the proposed plat appears to be in the 100-year floodplain. However, it does not affect the existing structure or this project. The remainder of the site does not appear, and it referenced the firm map panel number 311. Developer has been notified that sidewalks need to be installed along Menace as per the city's subdivision ordinance, and there is an accompanying variance to this request following this. I therefore formally submit the 11/17 reduced copy of the final plat, drainage and fire information that we've referenced before, and the GIS aerial for your review. Final recommendation: at their meeting on March 25th, 2003, the P&Z Commission unanimously recommended the approval of Plat P006-03 as it meets the minimum requirements of the city's subdivision ordinance.
Gentlemen of the council, any questions for Mr. Pliska on this? There being none, I'm in line for a motion regarding item number 18. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. Move to approve P006-03.
Councilmember Fowler.
Just for a second, Mayor.
Have a motion, a second. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, if you'll register your vote. That passes by unanimous vote. And now we come to item number 19 regarding a variance on the same piece of property, I believe. Councilmember Jennings, your light is on.
I am prepared to make a motion when you get to that portion there.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is P006-03 variance, consideration and/or action regarding variances to the city subdivision ordinance, Article 12-100, improvements required as to the sidewalk requirements on Lot 1, Block 1, Rescue Rooter Edition. Basically, the applicant is asking for relief on this, and I formally submit the applicant's letter of March 11th, 2003. At their meeting on March 25th, 2003, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 4-2 to approve this sidewalks variance request. And I would like to advise council that if you do approve this variance, that it does meet the requirements spelled out for variance in the city's subdivision ordinance and the city's zoning ordinance.
Do we need to be more specific than that in the motion that comes forward?
You have a reference to that in your packet, and just make sure in your motion that you do reference that those findings are being made, because the ordinance requires you to make those findings.
Councilmember Jennings, we're ready for a motion.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we approve the variance and that we find that the criteria for the variance has been met as specified in the material that was given to us in our packet provided by Mr. Julio Dumas.
Councilmember Williams?
That's for a second with one question.
Okay, motion a second. Now your question, please.
I know P&Z voted 4-2 on this. Was there a reason at the two that...
Yes, sir. Good question. Largely due that it's an existing facility and that, again, the discussions always centered around an industrial area and they don't expect heavy pedestrian traffic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further, any further discussion? If you would, gentlemen, register your vote. And that passes by unanimous vote. Item number 20 is the animal shelter chamber disposal. That was placed on the agenda by Mayor Pro Tem Phil Jennings. Councilmember Jennings, would you like to introduce this item at this time, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would. Thank you very much. I am currently serving on the Animal Advisory Committee. And at our meeting the other night, we had an item come up on our agenda pertaining to the gas chamber that we used to use to dispose of animals here in Haltom City. Earlier in the year, the Animal Advisory Board made their presentation to the city and showed you what we're doing at the animal shelter now versus what we used to be doing before we were lucky enough to get the facility we have now. This was produced and made possible by a gentleman that works tirelessly for the city of Haltom City, and he does so behind the scenes. He's behind the scenes right now. We're not going to be able to see him. I'm going to ask him in a minute to run a film over HCTV here for the people that are watching on TV to view. And this is a rebroadcast of the about 3 minutes worth of tape that he shot for the animal shelter and the presentation that was made during that particular portion of an earlier council meeting. As a result of what David Soriano did for the animal shelter and bringing it to the council and allowing us and the citizens to view it, David won for himself a Telly Award, a very prestigious award in his field. To my knowledge, the first time anything along these lines has ever been won by anyone in Haltom City. We're very proud of what David does for us. We're very proud of all of our employees, but when something like this does come along, certainly we want them to know that we appreciate it, and we'd like, David, at this time, if you would, the people in the audience are not going to be able to see this as it goes on, so there's going to be 3 minutes of silence as he runs this for the people on HCTV. Then I'll come back on when it runs off our monitor. David, if you would, please.
You are looking at the new Nancy P. Watkins Animal Care and Adoption Center. Completed in the spring of 2002, this 4,500 square foot facility offers a marked improvement over the older facility in regards to both service to residents and care for the animals. Centrally located at 5312 Midway Road, the Animal Care and Adoption Center is open to the public Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. During these hours, a Haltom City Animal Control Officer is available to assist residents with the claiming of a lost pet or the adoption of a new one. A look inside the building shows a spacious reception area where staff and citizens can conduct their business in an efficient manner. Information about all the animals housed at the center is stored in a computer database for easy referencing by animal control officers. In fact, any citizen looking to find a lost pet or to adopt a new one can access a regional database on their home computer by visiting www.petfinder.com. Here you will find photos and descriptions of all types of animals. One of the main features of the center is the adoption room. Here, patrons can spend time alone with the pet they are considering for adoption. The privacy of the adoption room gives prospective pet owners the opportunity to test the compatibility they have with the chosen animal. We are now inside the animal holding area. These rooms have 36 kennels for dogs and 40 kennels for cats. A state-of-the-art irrigation system is used on a daily basis to clean and sanitize each kennel individually. This is crucial in preventing the spread of disease from one kennel to another. A separate room is set aside for those animals under quarantine. Animals that show signs of disease or were involved in a biting incident are held here 10 days for observation. All of the rooms used to hold animals are ventilated and temperature controlled. Kennels in the older facility were located in an open-air environment, subject to any and all weather conditions. The receiving area for animals is located on the south side of the building. It is here where animal control vehicles offload animals that have been picked up. As a precaution, both sally port doors are closed before an animal is removed from a vehicle. Being in an enclosed area helps minimize the anxiety an animal may have while being transferred from the vehicle to the holding area. Closing the doors also safeguards the public in the event an animal were to get loose. We think this new facility is something all Haltom City residents can be proud of. We all know the effects pets can have in enriching our daily lives. Along with alleviating public safety concerns, this facility will serve to ensure the proper care of lost pets and the opportunity for abandoned ones to find a new home. Citizens with further questions can call the Nancy P. Watkins Animal Care and Adoption Center at 817-759-2124. We invite you to come and see for yourself. Who knows? The pet you've been looking for may be right here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if we could, let's come back to order. I believe the clip has run. Councilmember Jennings, we're back to you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and certainly those of you at home that were watching that on HCTV, I'm sure you enjoyed it. We're indeed lucky to have such a fine facility here in Haltom City, and we're indeed lucky to have such a fine employee to showcase it in the manner that it was just shown to you, and we're very proud of David for what he's done. To get back to the agenda item now, this is consideration or action pertaining to the disposal of this gas chamber that we used to use. And I've got Scott Morrow, who is also a member of the Animal Advisory Committee, who's going to come up tonight. He's filed a speaker's request card, and he'd like to address the council, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Scott, welcome. And if you would, give us your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Scott Morrow. I'm at 5813 Wall Avenue in Haltom City. And basically, it came up, the city of Haltom City has actually done a wonderful thing in the fact that we have done away with the gas chamber in Haltom City, in the Haltom City shelter. I know of thousands of animals that have died in this chamber. We are now euthanizing the animals by means of lethal injection, which is a much more humane way of taking care of these animals. It's an unnecessary evil, as with any municipal shelter, to have to euthanize the animals. But when you have a municipal shelter, of course you have to take care of the needs of the shelter itself and the best interest of the city. Basically, what I am proposing tonight is with the disposal of the gas chamber. My organization is Rescue One Animal Resources. I am the rescue group that represents. I'm being represented by the Animal Control Board. What I am asking is that the kill box, as it's referred to among the shelter, or the euthanasia box, be donated to Rescue One. Primarily, the main reason is that it is my understanding that this will not be used ever again, especially in the city of Haltom City, because we do have the euthanasia by lethal injection now. I am asking for the donation to my rescue. You may ask, why would a rescue group want a box such as this? Well, quite frankly, what we are hoping to do is turn a positive thing, something that has been very negative in the past, turn around and make that positive to where this animal or this box has taken away so many lives. At this point, we would like to see that box actually give back to the same animals that it has been taking before, and that is to provide basically a bash-a-thon through some form of fundraiser, to where all the money that would be donated for the bash-a-thon from this box could be turned back over to the animals. So that's basically all I have for you.
Members of the council, any questions for Mr. Mara? Any comments? Okay, thank you, Mr. Mara. We appreciate your presentation. Councilmember Jennings?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Pat Elfrink for one question. Pat, are you still out there? There you are. Want to clear up a couple of things here.
I think I know what you're going to
Want to clear up a couple of things here. First of all, Pat, you have been contacted, and this particular piece of equipment serves no purpose whatsoever now within the city of Haltom City. Would that be correct?
That's correct, Councilman.
And we have determined that there's very little, if any, scrap value whatsoever to this particular item.
I would say none whatsoever.
Very
I've
good.
also gone to check. This is not an asset that is on our asset register as a capital asset. Simply a piece of worn-out equipment.
Very good. Okay. And then one other thing I wanted, before you sit down, I'd like to touch on one other thing. We had, as a group, we had agreed to allow people in the city of Haltom City to make donations to the shelter through their water bills. And up to this point, I don't believe it's been explained how someone would actually go about having that 50-cent donation taken out of their water bill. I've had several people ask me, how do they get that started? Could you let us know how one would go about getting that donation started, please?
They could come in personally to City Hall and check at the water utility billing counter, and the people would be glad to help them there set it up. They could call the main number at 222-7700. The receptionist there would then forward their call to one of the water billing people who would, again, set it up on their account. And if I might add, it doesn't have to be 50 cents. If Councilman will remember, a few years ago, we modified the entire system. It can be $1, $10. It can be basically any amount they want, and have that automatically added to their water bill, kind of a painless way to do it.
Okay.
And it all goes to the animal shelter
Okay,
that way.
and you just brought up one other point. You're hitting all of my questions as we go along here. This money that is actually donated through the water bills, or if someone walks into the animal shelter down there and donates money in that particular, I think they've got a jar or something in there, people drop donations in from time to time. This money is kept in a separate account, a separate fund from like the general fund or any of the other city funds. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct, and I guess I would say that by doing so, by segregating it, it's very easy to demonstrate to someone, and our auditors check it each year, that the money is used to benefit the animal shelter and of course
So
the
they can
animals
be
there.
assured that the money is going where they're intending it to go. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We'll get with you later on how we access those funds. The
Very good.
animal boards was a little concerned about that. Thank you. That's all I had for you. Mr. Mayor, if no one else has anything, then I'm prepared to make a motion.
Let me ask Councilmember Williams and Fowler, did you have anything that you need to ask or say before Councilmember Jennings' motion? Okay.
Mayor, all I was going to do is second that motion and also comment. I know we kind of skipped over it briefly, but Mr. Soriano is a huge asset. You're seeing him or his handiwork tonight as you view it from home. We're very, very fortunate to have someone of his caliber here in our community to do our TV and do a lot of things that he does with communications in our city, and how vital that is. And I just, a lot of times things go unnoticed, and I wanted to also take time to thank David for all of his hard work, as well as the rest of the staff.
Okay, Councilmember Jennings, I believe we're ready for your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that the city of Haltom City donate the gas chamber that we have been using in the past to dispose of animals in the city of Haltom City, to Mr. Scott Morrow's group, and we would like to do this with the stipulation that any of the proceeds from this particular bash-a-thon, I believe he used the word, would be returned to the animal shelter at the city of Haltom City. Do you have any problem with that, Scott? So moved.
Okay, Councilmember Fowler?
As for second, Mayor.
Have a motion, a second. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, Councilmember Williams?
I'd like, for one thing, I'd like for Mr. Sariano, when he edits this for the viewing public, somewhere put his picture in there where the people know who he's talking about. We always say David Sariano, nobody ever knows, and so I would like to have that edited into there somewhere, and he'll be the one without the furry face and the big ears.
One of the things I've already talked to the city secretary about is putting an item on the agenda for the next council meeting to formally, kind of publicly recognize David and give each of us an opportunity to make some comments with him actually present here. Councilmember Henderson.
Thanks, Mayor. Scott, when you go to do this bash-a-thon, we need to be sure and publicize that so we can have an opportunity to make an announcement from here to the whole entire public. So, thanks.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? If you will, register your vote, and the display shows unanimous vote in favor of the motion. We come now to boards and commissions. Item number 21, a review and a discussion of the quarterly reports from the boards and commissions. Gentlemen, you have those in your packet. Any comments or questions you'd like to bring forth at this time? I don't believe we need to take action on this. It's just more of a matter of information for us. I appreciate all of the boards and commissions putting this report together. It's very informative, and we appreciate all the work our boards and commissions do. Comments on item 21, gentlemen? We move then to item 22. Do we have any resignations to be brought forth for ratification tonight? There being none, any appointments or reappointments to boards or commissions? Councilmember Williams.
As I've got an appointment to the park board, I apologize for the length of time it took me to get a person to serve on this board, but I know they'll be quite happy to serve with this person. Her name is Mrs. Jody Allen. Her address is 4556 Creekside Drive in Haltom City. I'll ask the city secretary to notify her on the next meeting we have, and her husband now serves on one of our boards, and he's doing an excellent job, and so I know she'll do the same job as well.
Okay, we have a recommendation for an appointment to the Parks Board. If you will, register your vote regarding ratification. And that appointment is ratified by unanimous vote. Item 24 is irrelevant because all of us are present tonight. We move now into executive session as authorized by section 551.071, .072, and 074, and we will return here to take any action on items that were discussed in executive session. Ladies and gentlemen, the council is back in open session following our meeting in executive session, and we're prepared now to take action on item number 13, followed by action on item 14. Item 13 is a resolution, as you can see from your council agenda, authorizing the city attorney to bring condemnation action on the matter identified in the agenda. I'm ready to entertain a motion on item number 13.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve agenda item number 13 and instruct city staff to make the necessary steps as discussed in.
Okay, Councilmember Fowler.
In there.
Second that motion.
Have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, there being no discussion, if you will, indicate by raising your hand. Those in favor, and it passes by unanimous vote. Item number 14 is another resolution for a condemnation action. I'm in line for a motion on item 14. Councilmember Williams.
Oh, that's his line.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we instruct the city attorney to mail the proper legal notifications as discussed in the executive session pertaining to agenda item number 14.
Have a motion, Councilmember Fowler.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, those in favor of the motion, raise your hand, and that passes by by unanimous vote. All other items on the agenda having been addressed, the council stands adjourned.